Hey yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Everything is Relationship. This is actually going to be the recap of the L Word Generation Q, but I'm actually going to combine and do episodes 2 and 3 together, just given the holidays and then I was sick with strep and traveling that I wasn't able to do 2 separate videos, so I'm just going to combine them all into one before episode 4 comes out tonight, which I'm actually super excited about because I think there's going to be a special guest and one surprising show up, which may only be Tina, but I think we're all hoping for maybe Carmen because it's Shane's birthday. But anyways, let's do the recap on season 2. All right, so not a lot that from my perspective happened in episode 2, but we did find out who killed Jenny. Dun, dun, dun. She committed suicide, which would explain why no one really knows what's going on. It would explain why, you didn't hear a splash when she hit the pool. We all know that, Jenny was pretty messed up, so committing suicide was probably actually right in line with, her character and all the crazy stuff that she dealt with. One of the biggest things that I wanted to touch on was just the aspect of watching Finley pick up girls, because I think a lot of lesbians go through this. One, we're on the app and we're swiping left and right, and Shane gives her the advice of maybe put your phone down and look around, and so she does going from girl to girl kind of thing, which I think we all can relate to, right? Especially being in what looked like a straight, what it was, a straight bar, and not knowing if the girls were straight or not straight. So I think we all kind of felt for Finley in the beginning, but then she ended up really connecting with someone. But the thing that I liked was the aspect of having sober sex. She really I think a lot of people are afraid to have sober sex with people, especially when they first meet them. So I think it was pretty significant that that they not only put that in, because I think that's in a lot of the episodes or in a lot of the a lot of TV shows, but the fact that she admitted she's never really had sober sex with anyone, she doesn't know what that feels like. All right, one of the other big things was watching the wedding planning go down and really watching Sophia struggle with the decisions that Danny was making, and her making decisions without her about the new job. I think this brings in a perspective, again, the perspective of that queer people go through the same things as straight people do. Sophia was really struggling with she's not her dad, and her dad didn't stay, which I can completely relate because I'm identical to my dad, and we date the same type of people, and I can see how we're similar. So in the aspect of getting married or whatever, I've always been really scared and paranoid, what if I end up just like him. But her grandmother says in the episode that, you are strong enough to leave if you need to, but it takes true strength to stay. And I think that is huge in this world where the divorce rate is 50%, and that we're still, as a queer community, struggling with people just seeing our marriage not as a gay marriage, but just as marriage in general, and that we are just like everybody else. We're human beings just like everybody else. We get married, we get divorced, we struggle with ending up like our parents. So I really like that they threw this in, and they're showing the aspects of just the normal struggle of being engaged and now combining your lives and being a couple. But I think it's huge that they threw that the staying part, because nowadays most people are just ooh, you can get divorced, whatever. All right, so episode 3 has probably been my favorite episode so far. We got an insight on a lot of things, but I only want to touch on 2 big main points. So the first main point from episode 3 is the best friend ex, or the ex best friend, whatever, right? So Alice and Gigi seem to have bonded in episode 2 over Eli being sick and Alice taking care of him and all of that stuff. And they have this conversation over a great breakup story. But Alice then in turn suggests to Nat that her and Gigi should be hanging out. Now, this is clearly out of guilt because Alice has a lot of friends and, she's hanging out with like Bet and Shane all the time now. And Nat seems to only be spending her time at work and with her kids. And so they have the conversation, and Nat mentions that, Gigi was like her best friend too. So Alice has this great idea that they should start hanging out again, and that, she's probably thinking like she would be the better person to suggest that. So Pride.com actually lists like 5 reasons why lesbians do this. So I'm going to give you a little insight on those 5 reasons. Now, reason number 1 is that the lesbian community is small. Now, I don't 100% personally agree with this, especially because only 2/3 of the current generation identifies as like exclusively heterosexual. But I think it is for lesbians hard to determine like who's straight and who's not in a community. It's hard to go out to a bar and be like, oh, yep, they're straight. It's hard to like find in a city where there are, where there's more than one lesbian bar, and if it is, it's not really popping. So I can see where they could think that like the lesbian community is small, but I don't think the lesbian community is small. I think that there are cliques in the lesbian community, and lesbians can like their cliques are very strong and they're very bonded and they're very like tight knit, and it is hard to penetrate another lesbian group, especially in some areas. So reason number 2 is that everyone is connected. So given that lesbians are real like clique heavy, there is a large chance that you will probably end up dating an ex of your ex or a mutual friend of your ex. So I think that's one of the reasons why lesbians are really driven towards like being friends with their ex after a breakup. 3, women are forgiving and mature by nature. I think it's harder for us to lose someone that was close to us for a long period of time. I think we are a lot more easier to forgive than men. Although there are those moments where like we can hold grudges. I think, but I still think naturally like we are, forgiving creatures. Now, reason number 4 is that exes are just familiar. A breakup can be hard, and your ex knows everything about you. A lot of times, like you're in a lesbian relationship, like the person that you were dating was your friend at first. So, they're able to call you out on your stuff. They're able to like, just be there to comfort you, and they know how to comfort you, especially if you've been together for a really, really long time. So I think just the being familiar with one another is another reason why, lesbians want to remain friends. And last but not least, it is awkward for your friends to have to choose between you two after a breakup. Now, I don't think that like in a breakup, like your friend should be like, I'm gonna go this way or that way. I've been on both ends of it where like you're being friends with both people, and one of them may get butthurt about it and feel like that you should choose. I don't think it is a matter of choosing, but I know it is difficult to be able to balance and juggle both, because you're like trying to hang out with this person, and then this person may like want to hang out, but then you have to tell them that you're hanging out with your ex, and there's always one person that's going to ask about the other person. So that's the thing that makes it awkward. They want to know what information you know about what they're doing currently. So we can safely say that Alice is not crazy per se. She is just like probably like any other normal lesbian that's in the middle of a breakup, in the middle of someone who's best friends, in the middle of like 2 ex-wives that have children. So I don't know. This could turn into like a throuple situation, or it could be the demise of Alice and Nat's relationship. Guess we'll have to see. All right, the second main point from episode 3 is Finley and the priest. Now, I did not see this coming. This is actually like a huge shock. I think it was great that that they mentioned, Finley's girl like going to church, but then we found out that she was a priest, and it was huge. But I'm glad that Generation Q is touching on the subject because I believe that there's like a stereotype where you can't be gay and Christian, or there's a stereotype that like all gay people, they don't go to church and they're not like involved in the church in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think that's true. I think there is a struggle, and gay people have had their experiences. Like my experience was I was at church with my dad, and I got pulled up to the front. A bunch of people laid their hands on me and tried to pray away the gay, and they told me I was on the path to destruction. And I think like a lot of gay people have that sort of experience, which we can only assume like Finley had an experience like that. But I love that they bring in the priest who is loving, and she actually says that she's more closeted about being Christian than she is about being queer, which is huge. But it's great to see someone who's gay and Christian and able to live their life in a happy way. And it was a little the only thing that was a little off-putting to me was that she seemed to try to push Finley in that direction, which I think could possibly happen, but it may not always be true. But like I was like bawling, crying as Finley was sitting in the church, just like bawling her eyes out and crying, and like whether that leads to a reconnection or she was just dealing with the hurt and pain for the first time in a really long time. Either way, I think this is a message and a story that definitely needs to be told, and I hope they really dive in deep into this and take it to a whole new level versus just like gay people not wanting to be involved in the church and the church not wanting anything to do with gay people, because contrary to popular belief, like queer people are priests and they're pastors and they're missionaries and they're youth ministers, and no, they don't always molest little kids, but like there's not just one dimension to what it means to be a gay Christian. So there you have it. It was my quick recaps of both episodes 2 and 3. I'm really interested to see what happens tonight in episode 4. Like I said, I think Tina may be the one that shows up, but they definitely make it dramatic because it's Shane's birthday. And I'm telling you, the rumor I hear is that not Shane, but Carmen is supposed to make a surprise appearance, but who knows. Anyways, drop some comments below. Let me know what you guys think about the video, what more you would like to hear about. Also follow me on Instagram at Everything Is Relationship. Also on TikTok at Everything Is Relationship. For some more, videos other than just like the recap of the award Generation Q. Until next time, remember that everything is relationship. Peace.